Okay, we
We're
are
here.
live. We are here. Markeem made it. CVS unkidnapped him. Yes.
Boycott those people. Boycott them. If you can help it, don't go.
All
Don't
right.
go.
Okay. So we're gonna come on here. We're gonna talk about Sabu. I think that's probably you and me probably have the most to say about him out of all of us anyway. So it's probably best if it's you and me. Um, but yeah. Uh, what like where do you want to start? I was thinking, what
Man,
was you know what? Let me ask you this: what was the first tape you ever got with Sabu on it? You remember?
the the first tape. I can tell you the first time I saw him.
When
Not
was
so
the
sure
first
about
time
the
you saw
first
him?
tape. First time I saw him was an episode of Hardcore TV that they played in syndication on Fox in what was that, 90, late 95, early 96, and it happened to be the first time I ever saw ECW. And that episode of Hardcore TV showed highlights of him versus Two Cold Scorpio. You know the match, the tope through the table over the fucking guardrail. And that they showed highlights of that, and I was like, "Who is this crazy dude with this chair?" And then they showed that, and I was in stunned silence. I was like, "What the hell?" I just sat there like in stunned silence. I'm like, I had to be like what, maybe 6, 7, or 8 at the time, like real young. And I was like, who is this crazy man? And I want everything he's ever done ever in life. And then they also showed after the match like them shaking hands. I was like, shaking hands? What is this shit? And it happened to also be the second episode of ECW Hardcore TV I ever saw. It was that. And that after that, I was like, this man is unlike anything I've ever seen in my life. And I searched out everything I could with him after that moment. What about you, Josh? What was the first tape you saw
The
Sabu?
first because I of course I didn't get the TV, so I had to see everything on tape.
I bet I
Um,
know. I bet I know.
you probably do, because I got it, not realize thinking it was something it wasn't, which was the night the line was crossed. That was the first one I ever got. I was thinking because of the name of it. This is my thing with this show is because of the name of it. I thought that was the night
You thought
that
there was the NWA
yes,
tournament?
yeah, yeah. I thought it was
That's
that.
that's hilarious.
I thought it was that. Because I wanted to watch both, but I was like, oh, that's probably that, and so I clicked on that because figuring, okay, I'll let this be the first one I saw, and it wasn't. It was the weird. I don't. How do you even explain that match to somebody?
The
How
three
do you even?
way.
Yeah, because it's not a
Um,
real three way. It's
um, I mean,
because
it's a three-way dance that doesn't end.
I mean because Funk leaves, then Sabu leaves, or like right, and then it's so like it's. I mean,
It,
it's a
it's a,
met.
it's a it's an extended angle. Honestly, it's like a
Yeah,
20,
yeah, yeah.
20
It's
30 minute angle. Honestly,
in an hour long match,
yeah,
which
yeah.
which is supposed to highlight Shane Douglas. So yeah, but that was the that was the first one I ever saw was that, and then just stuff from there. I then I started seeing stuff like the stuff in FMW that he did, all of that. I thought everyone's. I was thinking about this with Sabu, and the thing that I kind of just immediately thought of was as influential in everything he is. You don't hear a lot of wrestlers really talk about like how influential he is, like wrestlers. You hear fans talk about it, and I think it's the
I
deal.
don't
Like,
think they realize it. I
no,
don't
no, no,
think
but
they
I think
realize.
that's it. I think that's part of it. But I think that the other part of it is like whenever the Observer Hall of Fame comes out, right? It's all the modern wrestlers are the people who vote for Hayabusa, right? Now, a lot of the fans would be like, "Oh, that's kind of cool," but people don't see him as fans. We don't see him as that influential, right? I think it's the same as with the rest as fans
Oh, you
with
think it's the
Sabu.
reverse
I
with
think it's the
Sabu?
reverse, where I think the wrestlers don't see it, but the fans do, and also how he just changed everything because I think Joe Lanza is probably going to talk about this forever. But
oh yeah, they're good. He's gonna do the whole how much Sabu drew and all that. I don't know if I can do that off the top of the head on not
but
now.
just on he really did instigate a lot of. He wasn't the only one, but he was one of the of tape trading in the 90s, especially first, because that was the only way you could see him. You couldn't see him on TV unless you had ECW, and not everybody had ECW. So,
and then, you know, the crazy thing, like I got those episodes of Hardcore TV, but I didn't even get them every week. Like it was just syndicated. We would randomly get it, just completely random. And I would stay up late to just hope the ECW was on, because it would either be Thursday or Friday at 2 a.m. That's when it would come on. And then sometimes on Saturday at 3. And I would just stay up during school night sometimes to just hope that I would get ECW. And then some weeks I wouldn't even get it. So it's just weird. Sometimes I would get an infomercial. It's just, that's how syndication was, man. You had to hope and pray.
Yeah, like I would, like, literally there was a guy in Florida that I got the TV from, because one of the things with ECW is one of the reasons it got kind of big was because it was on I think it was on the Sunshine Network. I think it was on the Sunshine Network. And so I would get tapes from him, and then of course you had to order the big shows because they were just, you know, taped. But yeah, so like it's crazy because like they WWE uploaded I guess a dark match that him and Scott. So weird. They said Scott Taylor, and I'm like, why wouldn't they just put Scott Taylor and then in parentheses Scotty Too Hottie, so that you know who it was, because most people have no idea who Scott Taylor is.
Yeah, I thought that was weird. I was like, this guy was on your TV for years. Like, why not just? That was weird.
That was very weird. But
Matthew,
and he went out, and he went out, and he had a Sabu match, which was kind of surprising to me, and maybe that's why, you know, he didn't get hired, because he went out and had a Sabu match, but. You know, he went out and had a Sabu match, and that was weird to see him do that, you know, in, what was that, 93, 94? I think it was that match was. But yeah, he had a Sabu match, and if you watch it, like today, it doesn't look that much different, other than the even then, it looked so chaotic, even compared to today. That was the one thing about Sabu matches. They just looked chaotic. He wasn't super clean, and it was like he understood he wasn't super clean in the ring, so he leaned into the, you know, it's gonna look a little crazy, a little daredevilish, a little just stuff that other people weren't doing.
Sometimes intentionally, sometimes
just absolute like crazy stuff, and just like ECW was built around him in a lot of ways, even though, you know, Shane Douglas was more of like the guy they pushed as like the wrestler, and you had Terry Funk as the you know, the legend, and later it was very much, you know, Raven, because Raven connected to so many people. But
yeah, Paul Heyman talked about that. He said that Shane Douglas was supposed to be his ace because he looked like what you would think an ace would look like. Terry Funk gave the company legitimacy, but Sabu was the attraction. Like Sabu was always the draw. Honestly, Sabu was the biggest draw in that company. Can we just get right to it?
Yeah.
You're dancing around it, John. Sabu was the biggest draw in ECW.
I'm just saying that it's you know, everyone kind of had their role, but I mean, the other thing was that you had this like thing with Sabu where Sabu would show up, and sometimes he wouldn't show up, and famously he would take, you know, because he wrestled everywhere, and he was going to wrestle wherever he could make the most money, and so sometimes that was Japan, and sometimes that was ECW, and, you know, all of those things.
And sometimes he wouldn't tell the other side.
Right, like all of that stuff. So yeah, the best match. See, that's hard because his matches are like
you can't think about him in that way.
Yeah,
not in, you know what I mean? Because when you do that, you're gonna be like, oh, this match was sloppy. This match was kind of bad. It's hard to do that with him. He's just one of those guys where
you've got the barbed wire match with Funk, which is really cool.
I think that's the best match. I think we're just talking about best match. I think it's probably his best.
It's either
match
that or that the tag from what was that, Heat Wave 98 or 97.
You think that's the second best match?
I
mean, obviously we in real time, right? like in real time, that was like that's all anyone talked about after that show was over. Even though like there's like two better matches on that show, but that's all anyone talked about was that, just because of what it meant, the stuff in it, the fact that like fucking RVD and Hayabusa were touching. You know what I mean?
Right.
Was that the first time they ever? I think that's the first time they ever like even interacted, so. Right? Like just like from us being wrestling nerds, you know, just in that moment in time, yes, I'm with you. But going back, like, nah, I would say that.
Really?
No.
I mean,
John, when the last time you watched it, Josh? When was the last time you watched
it? True. I mean,
don't do it. Leave the memories alone.
and like the first Taz and Sabu match from Barely Legal is not even their best match. It's that. It's God, the one.
It's the one that Living Dangerously 99. Listen, hey, that is like we're talking about an entire match, right? That's my favorite Sabu match because that was the best built one. That was
best story.
The best story. Like, don't get me wrong. Well, I can't say the best built. The best built was the Barely Legal one because they did the angle with them. Like, but the story going into it, how like it had been years since they even interacted on like a big show. You know what I mean? They had a few matches here and there, but you know, Sabu had pinned Taz and was the first dude to pin Taz, and it was years at that point, right? When he first got to pin him, years for the FTW title, and that was like a whole thing where like Sabu had that, and then Taz was like, not like, you know, I'm the world champion, but you have this belt. That the only reason, you know, this is my belt.
Yeah, but,
you know what I mean?
But Taz let him beat him for that belt. That was the other part of that.
Yeah, I know that, Josh. I know that. but yeah, and then the unification match. You know, is it the most clean match in the world? No, but
you can't.
For that moment in time, yeah.
I mean, it's like it's a lot like everything of ECW. Sabu is like that, where it's hard to go back and look at it in hindsight. Because it was so much of the moment. It was a lot of stuff that you hadn't seen yet. It was a lot of stuff that was brand new. He was doing a lot of stuff that nobody had ever seen. So, you know, there was
all that stuff with the chair and just, you know, even like they brought up the barbed wire matches in the chat. Like people weren't like ECW did a few, but people weren't using barbed wire the way like Sabu was. Like in the States, like, you know, you could watch those FMW tapes in Japan and see that stuff, but not quite the way that Sabu was using it. Not like structuring entire matches around barbed wire. Like they weren't doing that in the United States.
It was a like if you got a barbed wire match, you got like one or two spots with the barbed wire. You know,
correct.
I think there was. Like I want to say Crockett used to do like a barbed wire cage matches, like
at the top. Barbed wire at the top.
No. There was like it was a cage match, but there was barbed wire
with barbed wire.
Yeah, with barbed wire.
See, that's my blind spot, Josh. I've seen the big matches from Crockett. I ain't seen.
Yeah,
you lived it. Like you lived it. You know what I mean?
But it wasn't that many, but you would get like some like that, and that was like, you know, they would use those as like blow off matches. So, I mean, which is one of the, you know, when people talk about like the negatives to Sabu, it was the fact that you've got, but I wouldn't just put that to Sabu. I would also put that with FMW and, you know, all of that combined, that you were getting these blow off type, you know, these things that traditionally would have been blow off matches, just as like part of the feud where we keep escalating, and how, you know, because you can only escalate to so much when you're using barbed wire and chairs and tables and all of those things. And he was the one that, you know, really started doing the table spots, like popularizing them.
Look, people love the Dudleys for that, and I love the Dudleys for that, but it was really Sabu to bring that like over here, because like he wasn't the first guy to do tables. Like they did them in the 80s and things like that.
Yeah.
They even did them in the WWE a little bit, but like he was the only one that was like, here, you lay on this table I'm going to do something. You know what I mean? I'm going to jump on you through this table. Hey, I'm going to set this table up in the corner. So, like, he was setting up spots during the match, like periodically through the match with the table. He was the only guy doing it. He was the first guy doing it. And then more people was like, hey, let's make that my thing. I'm going to make that my thing. Hell, the Dudley Boys made it their thing because Sabu popularized it here. And a lot of people don't even realize that. Like, a lot of people now, they just think tables are a part of the show. Sabu is the one that made it a part of the show.
Like if you ever got a table spot, it was you had a table at ringside that was like there for a reason, and then it would get cleared off. Someone would put it on, and you would do like a table spot that we would be like, oh, that's kind of a cute little table spot. It wasn't even like now at the time you never saw them. You never saw them like, oh my god, he went through a table. So yeah.
Yeah, Sabu was the first person to make those mean something. Now, you know, people have done them so much they hardly mean anything anymore.
Right.
But he was
like
the first guy to really make them mean something.
But yeah, it's so that would be like that. I remember the when ECW invaded Raw and he came off the A. Was it the A? Yeah, he came off the A, right?
Something on the Raw side.
Yeah, it was something. Yeah, it was one of the letters on the Raw side. He came jumping off, which was leading up to the pay-per-view with that first match with Kaz, which, you know, I always remember that match because I remember coming home from work that night when they did the angle at Heatwave, or what was it? Not Heatwave. Cyber Slam? I think it was Cyber Slam. Yeah.
Somebody helped me in the chat. I think it was Cyber Slam.
Cyber Slam. Anyway, but came home, and got on the internet at the time, and everyone's talking about this angle that they had not seen because this was one of the big shows, which meant that, you know, nobody had seen it unless you were there live. You're one of the 400 people that were there live at the ECW arena, and oh my god, like everyone's like, did you hear what happened? What? And I go, they're doing, which everyone kind of knew that they were probably going to do that match at Barely Legal, but they hadn't announced it yet. And then they announced that, hey, they're doing Taz versus Sabu, and like your mind just went absolutely crazy, which was a detriment to that match because I think everybody in their mind built that match up to be something it could never ever be the
greatest match to ever take place.
Ever be. I mean, they went up there and they did their best. It's not a bad match by any stretch of the imagination. It's probably one of the better matches on that show.
Yeah, probably like third best match on that show.
Yeah.
Probably because the 6-man, obviously.
Yeah, the 6-man.
And then probably the semi-main, because the main is technically
two matches.
But the match before that is probably the second best.
Right.
Yeah.
One of those two, depending on like what you like. But
no, it's Shane Douglas and Pitbull.
Shut up! Shut the fuck up!
Oh, Shane, he would always do that too. Long, boring, he would all. That was. I wish he wrestled as good as he talked. Honestly, I really wish.
He was Cody before he was Cody. Before Cody.
Shane Douglas and Cody, same guy. Yeah, you're right. You're right about that. But that angle. I saw it on when they showed the full thing on that episode of Hardcore TV, like almost a month later, and like because you got to remember I wasn't on the internet. I was following ECW through the tapes that my mom got from her friend and the episodes of Hardcore TV that was come on Fox. So when I saw, because Taz would cut the promos about give me Sabu, I want Sabu and all this stuff, and I was like, all right, whatever. And then I kind of revisited the angle with him being the Tasmaniac, Sabu no showing them and all that stuff. I revisited that through the tapes. So when I would see those promos on Hardcore TV, I was like, I mean, eventually, of course, they're gonna do this, but I don't know when. And then when they showed that, like it's Josh, it's almost 3 a.m, and I'm screaming at the top of my lungs, like this crowd, like TV's up loud, the crowd's going crazy, the whole house is asleep, and I'm Oh my God, what is happening? And then the lights go out, and then Joey Styles does that thing. He goes, in April 1997 in the ECW arena, these two forces. I'm like, yes. Because it was perfect how they did it. Because the TV show was the first time, unless you had that show, that episode of Hardcore TV, they showed that angle and then they announced at Barely Legal it was happening. I was like, man, what the fuck? And that was the moment I was like, all right, I don't care what it takes. I'm saving money because we didn't have the little black box yet. Because if you know, you know. But I was like, I'm saving money. I'm doing what needs to be done to gather this fucking $35 so I can watch Barely Legal. And damn it, I cut grass. I even delivered newspapers for like a week. You know what I mean? Like just walking around my neighborhood for like a few cents from the fucking mailman that would deliver the newspaper. All that stuff. I did everything I needed to do to get this goddamn show, Josh. And that day, listen, I was locked in. And then I was one of those people like, oh, that match was disappointing. But now that I'm older,
right,
like you said, I had expectations that couldn't be reached. But
right.
So many people did, though, to be fair. But
I mean, if you go back and you watch that moment, like just look at, you had people jumping up and down when the lights come on and there is Sabu
and they're just in the ring, crowd,
and people jumping up and down because they knew that, oh, this is it, and
then the lights go out right before they lock up. And then they come back on and they're not in the ring. Paul Heyman was such a genius, bro. He was such a genius. That is giving you just enough to where you need it. Like you're busted at the seams, anticipating something, man. I get chills every time I watch that, bro. Every single time. Wrestling has not made me. I mean, I guess because part of that I was a kid, but it has not made me feel like that. Probably since that whole era of ECW. See, people don't understand, man. They go back and they watch ECW and they watch that because Sabu ties into all this, and they go, "Well, what was the big deal?" Like people that didn't live it. Really like. I hate to sound elitist, bro, but you really had to be in the moment. Like it's
I think that's fair because I think ECW is such an in the moment promotion in that it was built around pop culture of that time.
Oh yes.
Right.
Yes.
Even more than like rock and wrestling was. It was built around, an underground underground culture as well. It was grunge and it was, that, heavy metal. It was stuff that was not super popular yet.
And my jaw's hurt from smiling so much. Just thinking about that stuff, man.
And so if you go back and watch it,
because like Ring of Honor, people call Ring of Honor the successor to ECW.
You're right.
Because it is. It genuinely is. But I would recommend people going back and watching Ring of Honor, and the wrestling is so cutting edge that you still get, you probably won't get the same thing, but you would still get like, oh shit, I get why people are, you know what I mean? They love it so much. Because I feel like
you saw glimpses of that in ECW when you had like that level of worker that Paul would bring in and then would have them go up against each other, and then you would get like glimpses of, oh my lord, look at this. So
it's funny because like late ECW, like 2000, late 99, 2000, nobody likes that era, but like that era was turning into
it was slowly, like you could see it getting farther away from, okay, we've done as much of the hardcore stuff as we can. We'll now start going into this, which is weird.
Now the other companies was doing the hardcore stuff, so Paul had to do something.
Yeah, and the thing about that is, like early 2000, like 99, 2000, like early 2000 indies. Really, what those guys were doing were like, and this gets away from Sabu a little bit because they weren't doing Sabu, they were doing like Japanese women's wrestling as guys. That's what they were doing. They were doing that type of thing. They weren't really doing junior stuff because if you watch juniors, like junior stuff from like that those guys would have watched, it's not as high flying as you would expect, like from the 90s. It was a lot of like mat wrestling and it was a lot of like technical like stuff like that. So
Oh yeah, like the Northeast Indies at that time, and
Yeah.
even like early IWA was that stuff. They were doing the,
Mhm.
Ian Rotten, that crazy man, but they were doing that stuff too. The ground based, super technical,
Right.
back to basics type wrestling, but like with like the high impact stuff that the girls were doing in Japan. Like
Yeah.
all of that was 100%. That's what it was.
But
Man, we just started talking about ECW.
I
Got
know, I know,
confused.
I know. But in a lot of ways, I mean, Sabu probably was ECW in a lot of ways. I mean, but yeah, I mean, that's how ECW got off the ground. Really, was because you had people either had to go to those shows to watch Sabu, or you were buying tapes to see Sabu. In a lot of ways, like I wasn't buying tapes to see Shane Douglas. I wasn't buying tapes to see Terry Funk. Really, I mean,
Hey,
I was
whoa,
buying.
now, whoa, calm
I'm not,
down.
but I mean, not really, not really. Not that they weren't putting on good stuff, but that's
No,
not
I
like
got you. I got you.
you
I
weren't
got
buying.
you.
You weren't buying it for that. You were buying it for like okay, what crazy ass shit is going to happen now, and that very
And
much
that
comes from
usually was
Sabu.
taboo.
Yeah,
Yeah, true, true. That is true.
you know,
And or honestly, the Sandman also, like the
yeah,
Sandman and both of
but
them.
that was more of a character, like
Well, yeah, but he
yeah,
still did crazy shit too. Like a
yeah, he
lot of
did,
those matches,
yeah,
you would, oh, and the angles, and you would buy it for the angles,
right,
like the angles too, to follow the angles, because
because they were
those were
definitely they were angles that you were not seeing on, you know, you were not seeing elsewhere, for sure.
Josh said, I didn't buy these tapes for Shane Douglas.
I
What?
didn't buy those. I didn't buy those for the. I didn't buy those for the teacher. I didn't buy those for the teacher.
The teacher.
But and then
Oh
the other
man.
part of it was, Sabu did all of that and never cut a promo.
No, not in ECW. No,
Right?
no, he never
Yeah.
did. He never did.
Never. He was
Bill
flat.
Alfonso did all his talking.
Right.
He never cut a promo.
It was
And
either
before that, his handler did all his
yeah,
talking.
it was
Yeah.
either Heyman or whoever. Yeah. So, which added a thing of like mystique about him because he never talked. Like I can remember the first time I ever heard him talk, and it was so freaking weird because it was like, wait, wait, what are we doing? So
Because he doesn't sound anything
yeah,
like you would think.
like you would think at all. So
I hated that like WCW made him talk. Vince McMahon made him talk. I was like, man, this dude shouldn't be. This is Sabu, man. Like,
right,
show. Don't
yeah.
don't tell. Show, don't
Well,
tell, man.
it's like that one time he was on uh AEW, and we were the only ones that complained because he walks out and Taz kind of like doesn't say mean things, isn't being heelish.
Yeah. That was weird. That was weird. I was like, come on, damn it. This can never die. That's what because there was real heat for like years too. So there was also that.
Yeah.
And honestly, Taz was kind of right. Like the man did do him dirty on more than one occasion. So
I know. But I did like Taz's. I was shocked that Taz did that video because you don't usually see Taz like that. So,
and he's right. Like honest, Taz. I don't think it's a secret. Taz is one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. If you know me, you know that. But he was honest. He was like, I don't think I have the career that I have without Sabu, and that's a fact. That's honestly, someone like Mick Foley owes a lot to Sabu.
I mean, they both came around at like kind of the same time.
I know, but a lot of their famous moments, especially in ECW, because you gotta remember, like people were kind of tired of Mick Foley at first when he first got there. It was the series with Sabu. People were like, "Oh yeah, it's good. We have Cactus Jack around." You remember that, right, Jocelyn? They didn't, you know what I'm saying? This is the reject from WCW, and then they leaned into it later on with the whole anti-hardcore stuff.
Yeah.
But the Sabu series is what kind of saved his run there at first because people didn't want to see him because he came from the bad guy.
He came from the bad guy. And people probably don't understand what that's an ECW rant. People probably don't understand that whole thing either. you know.
One day we're gonna do the ECW conversation. We're just gonna talk about ECW. We have to, Josh. We have to.
So what was? Let me ask you this: what was the first? You said that was like the first match you ever saw of Sabu. What was like the first match you felt like you remember having to see of Sabu?
Like, Barely Legal. 100%.
Was that the first one?
That was the first one where I was like, I must see this no matter what. Yeah. And it was because you got to remember, again, I'm super young at the time.
Yeah. No, that's why I'm stuff. Yeah.
I'm super young, but like that was the first one I was able to follow the angle all the way until the match. Because we also got to see that one live. You know what I mean?
Right.
So we're following the angle all the way into the match. And then after that, it was a few matches after that where I'm like, yeah, I got to see this. Hell, the couple months later, Born to Be Wired, that was obviously one of them. Even people don't remember the cool ass build to that match. You know what I mean? Where, Bill Alfonso, this old man is the world champion. You claim to be extreme. Well, how extreme are you? And then Sabu comes out. And everybody's like, oh, shit. And then the match did not disappoint. And then obviously you brought up that tag match with Hakushi and Hayabusa and RVD and, Sabu. They just announced it. And like, holy shit, that was enough for me. I had been watching those fucking Hayabusa tapes. And obviously I remember Hakushi, and then Rob Van Dam was one of my favorites, and then fucking Sabu. I was like, yeah, that you sold me. I'm there. Oh, somebody brought up RVD and Sabu versus the Eliminators. Yeah, that was another one because that was one of those tapes people talked about too, like how crazy that match was. Yeah, that was another one.
I mean, any of the I remember when I'm trying to think of what the like you said, the Sabu and Cactus Jack stuff was probably like the stuff where I was like, oh, I have to it wasn't just people recommending stuff. Like people recommended the night the line was crossed, which is like everyone thinks of it as that main event match, but really that whole show was really good. But that was
I bet you, Josh, that tape you had, I probably touched that same tape that you had. Probably the night, because it really felt like it was maybe a hand 12 or so tapes that was being passed around the country of that fucking show. The night the line was crossed.
Like that had to be.
Yeah, our DNA might have been on that same tape.
that had to be I wonder how many people got into tape trading, or how many people that was their first tape that they ever got.
Oh yeah,
right? Because but like you said, the Cactus Jack stuff, once it heated up and everyone was like, oh, you have to see this. This is like they're going out there and just having insane stuff. And then probably, and also not because of, then from that, just going back and getting the FMW shows that had Sabu on them, I would get those too, including that. I used to have the tape of the fire barbed wire match.
Hey, listen.
I used to have that tape somewhere, and not knowing what was about to happen. Then it happened, and I was like, what was that? Because of course it's all in Japanese. You don't know what's going on. They just roll out. For those of you that don't know, they did this match. It was Sabu. His uncle is Sheik, which I guess we should talk about that too. Is that his uncle was legitimately one of the biggest draws in pro wrestling
history. Yeah.
Probably one of the biggest villains in history. Had his own territory, went all over the place. Was really the first probably major hardcore guy. Preceded Abdullah the Butcher. Just crazy stuff. And so it's them two, and his uncle's probably 60 probably at the time when he did that match. He was old. Really old. And then Onita and it was Tarzan Goto, right?
Yeah,
I think. Yeah. So they get in the ring, and it's a barbed wire match, but then they're gonna light the barbed wire on fire. So they light the barbed wire on fire, except they light all the barbed wire ropes on fire, so you can't see anything. But then it gets so hot in the ring that they're like, "What the fuck is going on? We got to get out of here."
Yeah, Sabu straight up said, like, if you ever hear him talk about that match, he said, "I couldn't breathe. I just wanted to get out of there."
So
apparently, the crowd was passing out too. It was just too hot.
It was like too hot because if you got fire is going to want oxygen, and so
and then it got bigger,
and then it's so they're like trying to get out of the ring, so they got to like slide under the ring to get out of the ring, and then you're like, what the hell is going on? It was absolutely insane. And not knowing it, so I was like, oh, that sounds like a cool match, because I didn't know. And then I watch it and I'm like, what is this? What just happened? So then I had to get online and go, I just got this.
That's FMW, brother. That's
like,
FMW.
And a guy was like, oh, this is what happened. And I was like, oh, and they're like, yeah. So
I didn't actually see that match till I was in high school. Never saw it until I was like, what the fuck is going on here? Oh man. FMW, boy. Wild place.
And part of like FMW getting like big beyond just like the crazy stuff that they did was, was Sabu being over there all the time.
Yep.
So
yep. And it's kind of funny. So like, everybody brings up like, the Gladiator Mike Awesome and Masato Tanaka from that era. But like in FMW, those matches would be like right in the middle of the card.
Right.
They're right in the middle of the card. But like, guys like Sabu and Hayabusa and,
it would be Sabu, Hayabusa,
Gamasuke and
wow.
I mean, people loved him, man.
I know.
He was a draw.
I know.
I mean, he stinks, but he was a draw.
And then,
Pogo and all them. Those were the main event guys. But
Pogo, basically, the Japanese version of Sandman, who came first, but
True. I never thought about that. Yeah. I never really think you're right. Oh shit. Oh my god. I never thought about that, but you're right.
Really? You never thought people? I've
never thought about that. No.
Yeah.
Never connected it. But you're right though.
But
man.
but no, I think again, that's what I mean. I think that to wrestlers, I don't think they see, like, I think they get that Sabu was super innovative, but I think to like us and to like fans of the time, I think he was one of the ones that really made you kind of get out of your box a lot and start like looking at other things. Because you would get tapes that, Sabu on for shows that Sabu would be on, and then you would like, hey, who's this guy that you wouldn't see, that you liked?
True.
And so there was a lot of that too. And Dave Meltzer said there was wrestling before Sabu, and then there was wrestling after Sabu, for good and bad. And I think he's absolutely right, because you go back and you look like before you ever saw a Sabu match, or before he started like catching on, it's a very different type of wrestling. It's a very like almost no, like, unless you were a high flyer, right? You didn't do high spots. And if you did, it was like maybe you did a crossbody, maybe you did a elbow off the rope,
a knee drop,
like like the stuff that like Muda did was just like insane, and that predated Sabu. But that was insane. But he was the only one doing it, and no one else really in the United States was doing that stuff either. And it wasn't the same as like Sabu, like just looking absolutely crazy, and the chairs, the tables, all the hardcore stuff, gluing your arm back together because you ripped, you
ripped it because of barbed wire.
Right.
Taping your face up because you broke your jaw.
Yeah.
Crazy man. Just a crazy man. Just an insane human being. And then honestly, even his stuff post ECW, like a lot of people, I was just gonna bring that up, Caesar. The TNA run, the 2000, you could argue in terms of match quality, might have been the best run of his career, maybe. Like because he was in some of those wild monster ball matches. He was in the only other good no rope barbed wire match on television, the shit with Abyss. what you like? I think that's the only like good no rope barbed wire match to ever be on like television. I mean, I know it's on pay-per-view, but can you think of one, Josh? I can't. Like on traditional pay-per-view or television? Can you think of one? I can't. Like, yeah, so he was in that one. It's a lot of that stuff was really good. And I
don't know. Well, no, that's not considered a no rope barbed wire match though. I was gonna say the tag from One Night Stand 2, but that's not really a no rope.
Oh yeah, no. There's a lot of barbed wire. A whole lot. Hey, I fucking love that match, man. You talking about Funk and
Dreamer versus Edge and
fucking love that match,
Foley.
Man.
Oh, that match is awesome.
Love that match. Like when Terry Funk comes back with the flaming 2x4, I was like, this is awesome. This is peak right here. This is peak. But yeah, even like his WWE ECW stuff on that little period where him and RVD had that ladder match. The match with Rey Mysterio that should have had a finish. All that stuff, man. He was doing shit that nobody else was doing even then, man. Like I remember my grandma, that was the first time she saw him, the One Night Stand 2006, the match with Rey Mysterio. And she was like, I've never seen anyone do a flip off the chair like ever. And I'm like, yeah, that's this guy was doing that in the early 90s, grandma. He was doing that. Like, this is nothing, man. This is him past his prime. This is him after the injuries, man. Like, again, another dude you just had to experience it, man. You just had to experience it. Whatever me and Josh says, it just won't do it justice, man. You really had to see it in real time.
Yeah, and he's like one of the like few people you can really say that of, because it's like you said, it's one of those things where you had to see it in real time to really get it. It's like, you know what it's like? It's like, this is gonna sound really weird, but if you ever go back and if you ever like go and so, if you ever go back and you get a where you want to go, hey, I wonder what the Bushwhackers did before they were the Bushwhackers. Right? You might be in for a surprise.
You'll be shocked.
Because you're gonna be like, why did we never get these guys in WWE?
Oh, that's so funny, man.
But it's like, but you had to like experience that like in real time, or because like you can watch a Rock and Roll Express match and you get it. You can watch a Midnight Express match. You go back and watch a Fantastics match and get it, right? I can't really think of anybody else where you'd have to go back and like not it's hard to understand. Yeah, and have that happen.
I mean, honestly,
maybe Mike Awesome to a degree, because guys now
big guys are doing that. Yeah, it's true.
Do that stuff, but
true. I mean, hell, we talked about Brad Cage in the last episode.
Yeah,
that's exactly fucking Mike Awesome, another guy like fucking one of a kind. But who I was gonna say for a different reason is honestly Hulk Hogan. You know what I mean?
Oh, like but I think if you watch a Hulk Hogan match, you get it. Because
now though, like now,
what? You know who might be a good? This is gonna sound completely crazy because you brought up Hogan, but this might sound going back and watching like 80s Inoki.
True. Because it's a similar thing, right?
You watch that and you're like, what? I don't understand. I don't get. What am I missing? You're like, what am I missing? Especially if you go back and you watch like 80s Inoki, like early 80s Inoki, and then you go and you watch like Baba, right? And Baba definitely was not the worker that Inoki was, but you watch Baba and it's like, well, this is at least entertaining. I don't even know what Inoki's trying to do. I don't even know what Inoki's trying to do.
Especially when you watch those undercards. And this is like you're talking about like early to mid 80s, right? Inoki, right? That's what you're talking about. And like this is where like the juniors are really starting to come into their own. And then you see them do all this stuff, and then you hear this crowd going crazy for this man literally doing nothing. Like doing nothing. Few leg kicks, few sweeps, you know what I mean? Random octopus stretch. Like it's really nothing, but this crowd's going crazy.
Yeah, you're like, I don't understand it. But yeah.
Hell, even like Muto, like, because he emerged in the mid 80s, he's doing shit that like not many people are doing.
You're right.
But Inoki's gonna come out to the loudest pop on the show. Like what? Doesn't make any sense, man. Doesn't make any sense.
That would be kind of like, but I mean, and we're stretching trying to find someone, but I can't think of anyone else where you would have to go back, because a lot of people you go back and you kind of get when you're watching them. I think even like no matter how far you go back, but Sabu's different, because I think you see Sabu and everyone's like, well, yeah, but a lot of people just are like, yeah, he looks okay, right?
Yeah,
okay. You get a lot of like, he looks okay, and they don't get it.
Yeah, true. Oh man, R.I.P. to Sabu though, man. We could get into like his drawing and stuff like that, but I don't have that stuff in front of me.
I don't.
All I can tell you,
none of that matters. And you know what? None of that matters to me, because it's not. It's very much like I said, like his importance to my fandom, just because I started watching, like it was him, and Keiji Muto were the two guys. And it was Keiji Muto, because I would just get whatever random stuff that he would be on, right? That's how I saw Muto and
because people loved him, man. Those tapes used to go around all the time.
Yeah. It was like Muto and Liger. Muto and Liger. Like I would have never have watched that match, because I'd have been like, what is it? And that match is like, you want spectacle? That's a spectacle. Muto and Liger is a spectacle. On you want cinema, there's parts of that match that are pure cinema.
It's smart because we're getting off, but that's fine. It's smart because Liger was the junior. Yeah. You knew there was no way he was actually gonna pin that man, but they made you feel like, yo, this dude is a real threat. You know what I mean?
There's a point in that match where you're like,
I don't know.
I don't know.
That's smart, because they would never have him pin that man.
Yeah.
You know that.
But like stuff like that I would have never watched. But then like Sabu stuff, because everyone was always like, you got to watch this match and this match and this match and this match, just because he was so crazy and what was he going to do next, more than I think anybody's, especially like from like American indies at the time, because nobody was getting like stuff just for Cheetah Kid. No one was getting stuff just for I can't think of his name. Reckless Youth. Nobody was getting stuff just for Reckless Youth. At no point was that happening. Or anything like that.
Cold truth. Hard truth.
But I mean, and that's not that, I'm just saying.
That's true though. That is true.
Nobody like, oh, that's cool to watch them and to see them, but you weren't going out of your way to see like you were like a Sabu match. Oh, this has got a Sabu match I haven't seen before. Let me check that out.
That is true. Shout out to Reckless Youth though, but that's true.
Yeah, I mean, probably the best indie guy that no one talks about at all, I would say. I mean,
true. But he got hurt before the boom though.
I know. And then, he got hurt, and I think he could make more money also doing his shoot job too. I think that was the other thing.
True.
I think that was one of the things Quackenbush used to say about him, was that he goes, I always tried to like get him to come back, and he would be like, I'd have to get
why bother? Why bother?
I'm making. He was making because I think he was an accountant or something, making like 6 figures. So
Yeah.
like something like that. But anyways, we're talking about people that people are like, who are they talking about?
Nah, but hey, look up Reckless Youth highlights though.
Yeah.
And just be like, yo, this guy, and just keep in your mind that was 99 to like 2001. Think about that. And the guy was pretty great.
When was Shakara founded?
That was 2003. Maybe. Hold on. Wait a second. Now you're
gonna look it up.
Yeah. Keep talking, Josh.
Okay, but anyways, because if you don't know, he was the other founder at first of Chikara. But you weren't looking for like, I know he's canceled now, but you weren't
2002.
You weren't looking for Mike Quackenbush matches, even though he had a pretty good rep at the time. You weren't looking for any of this stuff. Really. I mean, the last, before the boom, the last thing that people really went out of their way to see was that King of the Indies tournament. That was it. I was the last.
True.
And then it wasn't until
and that was for guys like Christopher Daniels and AJ Styles. It wasn't for
So
any of those other
So it's very hard to explain. It's a lot like as a promotion, and the promotion was like this, which would be FMW. Like FMW was the same way. You got FMW tapes just to see the wild crazy shit they were going to do. But Sabu, it was just, you did it just for Sabu, because you knew if he was on a show, he was probably going to do something that you've never seen before, or something absolutely crazy, and it was going to be something that would be something worth seeing. So, because I don't remember there being a lot of, that's the other thing, I don't remember there being a lot of best of Sabu tapes myself. I think
like that was like maybe it was a officially produced one, but like RF video, I believe, but nothing like people were putting together.
Nothing like you were getting like the best of the 90s or the best of Masawa, or none of that stuff.
The best of CMLL, things like that.
Yeah. You weren't getting any of that. So
nothing I could think of. I'm about 90% sure RF Video put one out during the dying days of ECW, but that's it. About 90%.
But then it would have all been just ECW stuff. You would have gotten stuff from. You weren't. That's what I meant. You weren't getting.
Oh, you talking about like just like worldwide? No.
Yeah, I
never saw one. No.
Just something that had like, okay, this is the best of Sabu. Maybe I'm wrong, but anyways. But yeah. Super influential. I think that's why so many people I think that's why it seems weird for a guy that never made it to get the outpouring that he's gotten.
Yeah, so many people have commented on this. So
right, many. Like this would be like a modern version of this would probably be like if maybe Homicide passed away.
Correct.
Probably,
that's a good one. That's a good one.
Probably Homicide. Because I think
knock on wood.
Yeah, I know. But I'm just saying that if but I don't know if we would get this kind of outpouring. Even though you could argue that he's more like kind of a bigger name, was on the bigger stage for longer.
You think so?
I mean, he was on TNA for long time.
True. Yeah, I always forget. I always forget about LAX. I always forget about it.
For a long time. I mean,
but wasn't that weird when they brought him in and I was like, hey, this is Homicide. This is kind of weird. You just confine him to this tag team. Granted, really liked the tag team, but
it was a good spot. I mean, it was a good. What else were they going to do with him? Because the type of juniors they were using are not him. He's a very much a blend of like the old school indie wrestling with the new school indie wrestling. Very much so, I would say. So
true. And all the juniors they were pushing had, well, we can't call them juniors, X division guys that they were pushing were people that had like a unique type of look.
Yeah.
They all looked like super chiseled, good shape, all that stuff. Yeah, good bodies, superstars, look like
Right.
movie stars. So,
Right.
True. You're right. You're right. With the exception of that big Samoan guy they threw in that division.
Yeah, for whatever, just so they can keep him away from, you know. Anyways,
But honestly, I'm glad they did that though, because he had some amazing matches.
I know. I
wouldn't want to see him tussle with Scott Steiner every month, or even though they
but that's
eventually
the,
did
I
that.
mean, the thing is we won't go into what could have been in TNA. Like, you had Samoa Joe,
Monty Brown,
and you had Monty Brown at the same time,
at the same time,
and you
push Jeff Jarrett as the main. Yeah.
Like, you could have pushed Monty Brown with the idea of, hey, we're gonna push Monty Brown, and then we're gonna push him, and then have Joe beat Monty Brown, and then, oh, by the way, while we're doing this, Kurt Angle lands in our lap.
He joins the company, and then we have Sting, who just randomly just decides, I want to come out of retirement and join these people. They fucked everything up. Then Christian decides to jump. You know what I mean? You still got AJ Styles, but no.
Well, Christian was before that, though. I mean, Christian was before.
Christian was late 05.
Yeah.
It was late 05.
So, I mean, it was still good when Christian, I mean, but
no, Josh, let's put Kevin Nash at the top of the card and people like that.
Hey, that's what happens when you, like, I don't know. I don't know. And like, the thing is, people want to blame Russo for all of that. I don't think that was all Russo, because the one thing about Russo is he would at least, I shouldn't say push, because I don't know if he knew how to push anybody, but he would at least feature young talent.
Oh yeah. Even in the we hated the dying days of WCW, but one thing you cannot say about Vince Russo is that he did not want to use the young guys instead of those old dudes. You cannot say that. So I agree with you. I don't think that was him at all, because that doesn't fit his MO 100%.
So
I never really thought about that like that, but you're right. You can't.
I mean, Nigel comes in. He tries to push Nigel like crazy when he came in, and then Nigel happened. So
Nigel happened.
But
oh man, you talk about a huge what if.
Yeah,
Nigel McGuinness.
I mean, the thing is everybody, like, people that don't know, he was the one everyone thought was going to be the big star.
Yeah, not Danielson.
Not Danielson.
It was supposed to be Nigel McGuinness. Because he looked like the guy that was made for television. He looked like
and he could talk. He talked better than the whole bit.
And good God, could he work?
Yeah.
Good God, could he, man? Almost as good as Brian Day. Almost as good. Yeah, man. Oh man. Oh man. That makes me sad. That makes me sad. How we get from Sabu to random TNA? It happens. It happens. You got us together. It happens.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But no, that's I would say it's probably really hard for like modern people to really understand, because I think they just see him come in, do like the spots that he would do, and they'd be like, oh, that's kind of cool. That's kind of, all of that. So we'll see. We'll.
I can't wait till Hall of Fame time. Put him on the ballot. Put him on the
ballot.
I'm
sure they'll put him on the ballot. He probably won't get in, but they'll put him on the ballot.
Hey, because I'm gonna try to get a vote this year. Fuck it. I'm gonna try. And you know what, man? I'm voting for Sabu, man. Vote for Sabu. Because in terms of innovation, listen, there's not many people left that can go in that thing that are more important.
No, I agree. I like, that's why I brought up Hayabusa, because Hayabusa doesn't do great, but he doesn't do bad either. He does surprisingly. His numbers are actually pretty surprising when you think about like
the wrestlers always vote for him. It's everyone else that doesn't.
Yeah, it's like the modern wrestlers are like, no, this is a guy that needs to go in, and I wouldn't even think of him as that much of an influential guy myself, like as a non-wrestler, just as someone who watched him was like, oh, he did cool spots and he had an interesting look, but I wouldn't think of him as like.
I was a big fan, but I didn't think in terms of like.
I'm like, did they see something when he was H that like what?
Oh man, if you know, you know. That's funny.
like what? Like,
and I mean, his mask was cool. He
was. I mean, he looked cool. He looked cool. It was like you saw him. You're like, who's that guy? Who is that guy?
And look, he was a hell of a wrestler. But people always talk about, again, like you said, the influence. I don't
I don't get it, especially when you have Sabu, who I think is much more influence.
That's influence. Yeah, I mean,
that's influence. So,
that sounds mean because I love Hayabusa, but I'm just being honest.
Yeah,
I would honestly, I probably prefer Hayabusa's work, but we're talking just influence now. Like it's Sabu.
Yeah,
Sabu completely.
Yeah.
It's Terry.
I remember H. I remember that.
It's a good story until it wasn't.
It was a good story until you realized, hey, he can actually do all of those things. Why can't he just be Hayabusa again?
And you're right. The moment you start to think about it, it all falls apart. And I don't think it ended that satisfyingly either. To be honest,
no.
But it's an intriguing angle. Look, just read about it. I don't feel like getting into it here.
Yeah,
just read it because it's a whole saga. He looked cool. He looked cool as H though too, which is kind of funny. He did.
Yeah, he did.
Guys just looked cool, man. Vic said he's on his Amazing Red Hall of Fame agenda. Nothing to do with influence.
Nah.
I don't know, Josh. I don't know, man. I don't know. We're talking. Hey, we're just if you value influence, I don't know, Josh. I don't know.
Is he really that? Is it that he's that influence, that much of an influence, or is it just that he had that school? Which is it?
It's both, Josh.
But you can't know.
Nobody agrees with you, Josh. Nobody.
No. I would argue that Reckless Youth was a bigger influence than Amazing Red. And the only different,
but Reckless Youth wasn't around long enough, Josh.
I understand.
Wasn't around. Like we could have this conversation if he stuck around. Amazing Red stuck around.
Okay.
Exactly, Vic. The early 2000s. You know how many people were doing the shit Amazing Red was doing?
Okay.
Everybody was doing that. That's not fair. I can't believe you did that. I can't believe you said that. I can't believe. Now, would I vote for him? I don't know, but I understand why someone would. I don't know. I have to think about it. Okay. But I understand why someone would, though, because the influence argument is through the roof, regardless of what this guy will tell you. It's through the roof, man. That's crazy. I can't believe you. That's crazy. I'm
just saying that.
What are you saying, sir?
What? That I think that his influence is a bit over. Not that he's not influential, but I don't think you're talking Hall of Fame influence. That's like
Impossible brought it up. The Amazing Red low-key match, right? How many times did you see that copy for like a decade? How many times? Even now, people still copy that, man. Okay. Will Ospreay copies that shit all the time. Like, come on, man. Come on. I can't believe you said that, Josh. You know what? You know how many Ospreay clones we have now? You know why? Because Will Ospreay is an Amazing Red clone. That's why. Josh. He's a clone of a clone. Come on, man.
He's a clone of a clone. Okay.
Yeah, man. But I don't know if I vote for him. Honestly, I don't know. But I would have the conversation. It's worth talking about that. What else are we talking about? We got anything else?
I got nothing else. Unless you want to do your
Janela. No, Janela.
Oh, Janela. What do you want to? How do have?
Oh, all right. Look,
I think they both need to shut up. Is what I think they both need to do.
Listen. I do not. I think people are being ridiculous trying to blame him for what happened to Sabu. Because we don't really know the cause of anything.
Right. We don't know why. We don't know cause of death. So
I don't want to do that. Because I don't think that's the argument to make. I don't want to do that. I think he just needs to be quiet, because if you are a professional operation, you do not need to defend the product that you put out. But the fact that you're online fucking pretty much putting your foot in your mouth, it makes you look guilty.
And it's not just him. That's the
and Lauderdale too. Shut up, sir. Like, come on. Like, again, I hate to do this because, like, it bothers me so much about the modern indies, because GCW has all the resources. They're the biggest one. They are the face of the independents, and it continually act like a backyard operation, bro. Like, all y'all had to do was the first thing you did. RIP to a legend, Sabu. We were privileged to have his final match. Blah, here's some highlights, here's some photos, all that stuff, right? That's all you had to do. Stop engaging with the people that don't know exactly what happened, because it makes you look Bush League. And Joey Janela, and look, I'm not saying these reports are true or not, but like, Joey, if this, let's say let's say any of this stuff was true, right? Like, my God, bro, like, you do not have to make sure Sabu gets in that ring. You are not that valuable, sir. Because you know why? No one's going to talk about Sabu's last match. We're going to talk about Born to Be Wired. We're going to talk about Taz versus Sabu. We're going to talk about everything he did in FMW, everything he did in Eastern Championship Wrestling. Nobody cares about this except you. And that's my point. He is such a mark for himself that he gets on my, like, it's annoying at this point, bro. It's like, just wrestle. Like, you are not first off, he's not the draw he used to be. There's that. You know what I mean? Because did you see the thing where people were like, if Sabu couldn't work, then maybe he shouldn't have had the match. And then he was like, well, my final match is against Sabu. Sabu's final match is against me, regardless of anything. It's the biggest match of the weekend. Did you see when he said that? Like, is it the biggest match of the weekend? Sure, because it's the main event of spring break, because you guys have all the resources and you guys are the most attended independent pro wrestling promotion. Sure, of course, sure. But who's, like, let's say Sabu was here. Let's say he didn't pass, right? Who's this at the end of going into next year, right? Let's say he was still here. Would anybody talk about the match the year before? Would you be talking about that Sabu match? Other
than the
some of the dumb risk he took?
Yeah. Yeah. Other than
like,
that,
he's got to get over himself, bro. Like,
let me ask you this.
I used to like Joey Janela, which makes me so upset.
If you were Ariel Helwani and all of them, would you have waited to release that story?
What do you mean?
Do you think they should have released that story like right after? And we have no cause of death
after the match.
Yeah,
like we
have no cause of death, nothing. He dies. They release that story, and then it's like, wait a minute. You think they should have waited?
Yes, probably,
because that added fuel to the fire of a lot, and a lot of people are like, this is a little,
I mean, I would hope, if y'all don't know, it's out there, but I hope none of that stuff is true. I hope none of it is true. I hope it's all.
I mean, none of it would surprise me. None of it.
That's the thing. And
right? None of it would surprise me that Sabu would be like, hey, this is what I need to go out there. That wouldn't surprise me either.
Hell, and Joey admitted that. He admitted that he fucking was drugged up. Why would you even admit it? Like, you could tell if you watched the match.
Yeah.
But there's no need to.
Like, everyone was like, he was out of it.
It's so annoying because GCW has all the resources to be a professional operator. How does West Coast Pro, Prestige, DPW, all these places run themselves like a professional operation? But the one place with WWE ID backing is the one that doesn't. Josh, it annoys me so much. Don't understand. don't understand.
Hey.
It's their fault that people think the indies are dead and depleted. It's their fault. It's their fault.
That these Dean shows look like they're going to be the real deal.
But do you think they'll have fucking 1,200 people? I hope.
I hope. We'll see. I don't know about the first one. Well, the first one's free, so I know they haven't exactly said how they're going to do the first one. But I hope that second one, because there's people on that Cybernetico show.
Oh yeah, so, yeah. Hey man, hey, God, Dean. If y'all didn't see Dean 1, that was one of my favorite shows of last year, bro. Such a fun show. So, because you know why? It spoke to people like me and Josh and a lot of the group in general that we have on the show, because that's our era, man. The mid to late 2000s.
You know what I like about like the most about that show is it's really two shows in one. Is you got that first part of that show, which is all angle based, which if you don't follow any of that stuff, you have no idea what's going on. And then the second half of that show is just like, okay, now we're going to put on.
This is the best independent show you could possibly have.
Yeah. And I liked that just because it was like, okay, we're doing that, and then now we'll get into like the last 4 matches were just like crazy. So yeah.
Vic said it best. GCW took advantage of the viral meme culture. Unfortunately, that's how they got to where they are, and during COVID. Man, look, it's sad though. Can we move on past it now?
But here's the you had all these people the last couple of days, I guess, or over the last week, bring back up the whole could TNA be the number 2? And here's the thing. GCW and not per show, right? Because TNA will outdraw them, their big shows, but GCW pretty much goes every week. They draw everywhere they go, and TNA does not do that.
Correct.
So there is that, and there are people that will go and watch, So. That.
And there wasn't people, Josh. There was one moron that.
No, there were people that were defending the one moron.
But how though? You know what was funny? Shout out to my boy Charlie on Twitter, because what he did, he searched hashtag TNA whatever pay-per-view they had. I can't remember. And Raj Geary, because I'm gonna say his name, didn't say one word about that show. But you really believe that the number 2 organization can be TNA, but you don't even watch TNA?
He's being told to say that. We all know.
Just look. I wish, but have some shame, brother. Just say I don't like AEW. Just say it. Just say I would respect it. I would respect it. It's okay. It's okay. You don't have to make up things because you don't like the show. I don't get why they do. Why do they do that, Josh? Why do they do that? Just say you don't like the show. Look, man, I'll respect it if you just were honest.
I have to ask, what do you like?
Then that's fine. Like you look,
what do you like?
If whatever you like is, I'm not here to play the cool police.
I can't understand how you can say you don't like AEW, but you do like TNA. That makes no sense to me whatsoever. I cannot fathom that, unless you just like the random TNA that NXT person showing up, and you think that's cool. Unless it's that's the only thing I can.
Because TNA is just diet WWE, and then when it's not, it's diet something else. It's not even unique anymore.
It's not.
It's a amalgamation of worse versions of all sorts of wrestling.
Yes,
that's what it is. That's what it is. When it's not being the WWE, it's being a knockoff of something else. That's what they are. But number 2, right? Number 2. Jesus Christ, John. Jesus Christ. God, man. Can we restore order here? Can this podcast and our Discord restore order in this space? Can we do it, Josh? That is my goal, man. That is my goal.
You just have to get more people watching.
Order. We got to, man. Everybody that's here, campaign, all that. Not even for me. Not even if I drop dead tomorrow, We gotta restore order in this space. That's all I want, man. Because now people are just dumb, and it's okay to be dumb. I don't understand. We need to fix this.
It's
It needs to
like
start
Brandon
today.
said. Maybe being a little gatekeepish isn't a bad thing.
We got to get back to it, man. We got to get back to it.
Like there's a way to be gatekeepish without being a dick. There is.
Because you can educate people
right
without being an asshole.
Right.
Hell, that's how I got into all this other wrestling I got into. I was educated by people that knew better than me, and they weren't dicks to me. That's how it happened.
Right. Like
and
you
I
can
think,
be like, if you want to be like oh, that's the best match. You really think that's the best match? Maybe you should go watch this match.
Correct.
That's how you do it. And if they go, I'm not going to go watch that. Well, then we don't need to be talking then, because it's apparently that you don't know what you're talking about, and you're closed-minded. So.
All right. So before we get out of here, because we've been talking for a while.
Okay.
Real quick, I want to just get my shit off about Tekken. What are Josh? What are these people doing?
I don't know. The thing is, I saw that Pac-Man thing, and I'm watching it. I'm like, this actually looks kind of cool. This looks. This looks
the Pac-Man ball and
but then they got you start going into the clothes and the outfits and all of this stuff, and then in the back of my mind I'm like, oh, this looks cool, and then I'm like, wait a minute, how much the fuck is this going to cost?
Do you know what the full pack costs for everything they announced, like the characters, the Pac-Man stuff, all that stuff, right? It's like almost $80, Josh. It's almost like $79.99. What the hell? The game itself was $60. It was. What are we doing? What? Oh my god! And then look, I like Fakuram. I did in Tekken 7. He's a cool character, cool. But why is he DLC again? If he wasn't in the base roster, no need to include this man again. And again, season 2 DLC. It's the same exact season 2. It's like they don't even listen to what anyone says anymore. They don't even listen, man. Everyone's mad because but you include Fakuram. It doesn't make any sense, bro. Like, and then we all want balance changes. That's what they should have been showing off. Don't tell me that we're getting balance changes. Give me a preview of what's changed, because season 1 of Tekken 8 was so fun. It was so fun. Everyone was playing it. And then all of a sudden, you doubled down on the offense, and now nobody wants to play it anymore because you can't block anything, and everybody just wants to go back to being able to play defense. Everyone's offense has been buffed to hell, and then everyone's defense stayed the same, and it ruined the game. It sucks to watch. It sucks to play. It like that. No other game. Period. Triggers me more than when I cut that on. And I have to play it because I live in South Carolina. Everybody plays fucking Tekken, or I wouldn't play anything with anyone because it's the game down here. But even like the locals I go to and shit like that, less and less people are playing Tekken because of how just unbalanced the gameplay is. All I wanted was them to show off more balance. And even if they didn't show a character, be like, hey, this is the schedule for the characters releasing. Because showing Fakuram after you didn't show us any balance changes is like honestly, it's like kicking me in the dick and then handing me like a Pepsi. You know what I mean? Like I know that hurt, but would you like a Pepsi? Hey fella, would you like a Pepsi? You know what I'm saying? Man, I was so upset.
And it's a warm Pepsi on that.
A warm Pepsi. A warm fucking Pepsi. It's so annoying, Josh. I don't understand.
But here's the thing. Look, Virtual Fighter showed one stupid thing, and people went crazy.
You know why? I'm glad you said that. You know why? Because there has been clear communication from the start. There's been the goal of. Did you see the Virtual Fighter Direct? Did you see that?
I did not. I did not see it.
They pretty much brought up what the game's going to be. They said the reason why this one is taking longer, and I don't even think we're getting in 2026. If we get, I think it's going to be late 20. I think it's a ways out. But it was like the reason why this one is taking so long is because we want to focus on our story and our narrative in this one. I think they're doing something really big with that story mode. And also, they also said that like we want to make sure that the gameplay is in a state where we don't always have to tweak it. That's what they said. And when I heard that, I was like, because the goal, because like Street Fighter, right? As much as I love Street Fighter 6, Street Fighter 6 needs something. It needs something to change that game because now it's still, we all know how to play it. We all know what to do. So we're waiting for the balance to change so we can come and you know what I mean? And then get excited about it again. But they want to get Virtua Fighter to a state where there's no need to do that. Where it's just the game is what it is.
That's good, but here's the problem with that. Once you release it and people get a hold of it, that usually goes out the window.
But I hear your point, but I'll raise you CVS2. Because CVS2 evolved. CVS2 came out in a state that it was in, right? Mark of the Millennium. When that came out in the state it was in, it evolved so much in that time period. And they never changed it. They never tweaked it, never changed. The arcade version stayed exactly what it was, but the game itself evolved so much. And I think that's what they want to do with Virtua Fighter. That's what I really believe. Because even like Ultimate Marvel 3, right? That game, people still play it, people still love it. It's been around for like a decade, right? But it's so different from what it was, like, you know what I'm saying, like 10, 11 years ago. Yeah. And I think that's what they want to do with Virtua Fighter. Because now the fucking cheat code is I'll release a game and then I'll keep tweaking it. Like when it gets boring, we'll tweak it. Or when people complain, we'll tweak it. They want to get to a point where there's an answer for everything that you see. And if it takes them 2 years to make it, I will wait. I will fucking wait, man. Because look, Akira, we've seen Sarah, and we've seen Wolf, right? And like each one, I want to see him in action, by the way. But like each one, you can tell is very dynamic. You can tell that there is a purpose with every character being different. No gameplay will look the same. Because think about the test footage we saw with the two Akiras fighting each other. Now think about what you know about Wolf and throw him into that. You get what I'm saying? Like just what you know about how he plays and what his MO has always been. Because he wants to grab you. Wolf wants to slam you. And then you throw him into that. Like, what's that going to look like? Look, man, I can't. Josh, look, I got on you when you was like, Virtua Fighter is your favorite fighting game franchise. I still think you're crazy. But I think this one, just with everything they've been saying, could really be special. I really believe that. They're really working hard on this. I'm so excited for this.
I think it's weird that they didn't do a lot. They did a little bit, but I think here's the thing. I find it really weird that Tekken, the people behind Tekken, saw what happened to Mortal Kombat and then said, we're going to go down that road.
Go down that same path.
We're going to go down that same road. I find that really weird. While, Street Fighter's over here going, we're not going to do that.
No,
we're not going to do that.
You can call us boring, but you're not going to call us bad. Yeah, I feel you.
We're not going to do that. We're good. So
also, because now that I have you here, how much you been playing the City of the Wolves?
I have played pretty good amount because I think I've got 4 more characters to beat with everything.
I'm concerned about what that game will look like 3-4 years from now. Because I'm already noticing stuff that I'm like, man, somebody really good is gonna exploit this. like Ronaldo is my main, by the way, and he's bullshit. Like he's complete. It's like I know as a Ronaldo player that this guy is. Come on. and if somebody, because like his whole, have you played with Ronaldo yet?
I have not.
Okay, his whole thing is the ball. The ball,
right? I know the
everything is the ball. Right. The ball is sometimes it gives him buffs. Sometimes there's even a mechanic where there's a frame trap where the ball's behind you and he's in front of you. Okay, I am not good enough to really take advantage of that. But somebody will, you know what I mean? And I've seen, like, when I was watching Evo Japan, some people were kind of playing around with it, and like Hell Pockets was on commentary, and he was like, I see the vision with this, and SNK, if you're listening, please do something about this before it happens. Because right now, people are all still learning the game. We're all still learning that game. But the one thing that I will give City of the Wolves is that there's so many options for defense that to the point where like not enough people know how to really get past those options for defense. Like just defense is great in that game where you know just defense where you block just in the nick of time, knocks the opponent back. It's the best it's ever been in any fighting game, right? But we're going to get to the point where like people have counters for just defense. It happened in King of Fighters. It had, you know what I mean? It happened in all. So when that happens and you have a character like Ronaldo, I think he might just end up.
Well, I mean, I would think when we get the first DLC character, we'll probably get the first update as well.
I hope so,
and that'll probably change some things because that's the thing with a fighting. Like you can have as many people play it as you want, right? And all the test people play it, and you have really good test people, but they're not going to find everything. You've got to get it out there to the masses, and then they're going to find stuff that you didn't see, and that's why you have to go in and like fix things, change things.
And I will give them that. SNK does a good job of that because I remember when I was playing those builds of City of the Wolves before it came out. There's stuff that was in that game that's just not in that game anymore. It's gone. It's completely gone because we complained about it, and now it's just gone. So
I think that and they want it to be a tournament game. So
hey man, if Evo Japan was any indication, mission accomplished. Have you seen that top 8?
Yeah, that was.
Oh man, mission accomplished, man. King of Fighters is boring though because I'm at the point now. As much as
I mean, here's the thing: how many of the top players are left playing it? First of all,
they all were there. Everyone except Xiao Hai was there. I mean, he's the top of the top, but he wasn't.
But I'm just saying, how many of those people migrated to City of the Wolves?
Well, that's what I'm saying. All the top KOF players, they still play it. They all were in that tournament.
Okay.
The funny thing is, KOF is bigger in Japan than City of the Wolves is, though. That's the thing. It's kind of weird. That's so weird. But City of the Wolves in North America and South America is bigger. It's way bigger. Nobody here is playing KOF anymore. I went to my guy Mello. Shout out to Mello Hendricks. I went to his event what was that, 2 weeks ago, and they had all these setups, right? And I bought my setup. I cut on KOF. I was like, hey man, I got KOF over here if anybody wants to play. And then my boy Rob, he said, cut that bullshit off, nigga. Nobody wants to play that bullshit, man. And I was like, all right, okay, fine. Whatever. Like I was just across the room right here.
So
bullshit off.
With that said, what do you think? How does that affect Evo in Vegas? Do you think what you saw at Evo Japan? How do you think that?
See, okay, so
I'm gonna get you in trouble.
It's a hard question to answer. I really worry. I'll say this: I really, really, really worry about Mortal Kombat. Hey man.
I mean, it's gonna be there. They said it's gonna.
It's on the list. I think it's gonna be really embarrassing, John. I'm not gonna lie. I think it's gonna be really embarrassing. Because look, if you register, because I've already registered, but if you register, I didn't even register for Mortal Kombat. Not even Mortal Kombat this year. I'm gonna watch it, but I'm not gonna play it. But if you register right for each of the games, right, you can see the brackets that you're in already starting to form, right? Mm-hmm. Street Fighter is huge. I was scrolling and I stopped scrolling. I just wanted to I found me, but it's so big. So many people are entering that. It's gonna be nuts. And then like City of the Wolves, pretty fucking big too. I entered that too. Pretty big. Tekken, huge. Almost like Street Fighter. Huge, right? Mortal Kombat, one of my best friends entered Mortal Kombat, right? He screenshotted the bracket. He was like, "This is the bracket," and it was like 20 people, Josh.
Jesus.
We're like fucking. You know what I'm saying? We're how many months? We're like 3 months away, and there was like 20 people in that bracket. That's embarrassing, bro. Now, I will say they're probably going to end up getting close to their number, but I can't believe I'm saying this, but do not be surprised if there's like how like you go to a wrestling show and they got people in the crowd. don't be surprised if they're like people that entered the tournament that didn't really plan on entering the tournament. Just NetherRealm gave them some sort of incentive to hey, you can enter for free, or
right.
Just play Mortal Kombat. I wouldn't be surprised. I'm gonna let you know. I'm gonna tell you if they come up to me like, hey. Do you want look? We need people for this bracket. That's but this was like late April. He screenshotted that and showed me. I could not believe it. 20. It was like because we counted. It's like 22 people. That's crazy. That's crazy.
I want because what's the B list games? It
is let's see, King of Fighters. Jesus Christ, Josh, you put me on the
Capcom
spot.
versus SNK 2.
CVS 2. Hold on.
Evo. Marvel versus Capcom 2.
No, that's the main game.
That's the main game. That's the Legends game. Virtual Fighter.
That's one of the side games. And that's cool too, because like Vegas is gonna be so huge that they're actually letting side tournaments be a part of the main show, which is it makes me feel bad for people putting on the side tournament, like the side tournaments though. Like there's a guy, he does TMNT tournament fighters every single year. I'm really worried for his tournament. I really am, honestly. I don't know how many people would bother with it this year.
I would do that if I went.
I mean, I look, I don't enter every year, but I always like try and catch some of it. And he puts his own money up, puts like his own bonus into the pot, all that stuff. Does it every year. I worry about his tournament this year, man. And people that do the speed running stuff sometimes at Evo, worried about them. Though the Smash community that still comes out, do they even bother this year? If I was them, I wouldn't. There's no incentive. Honestly, no real reason. Because at this point, how you gonna run that tournament? There's so many tournaments going on.
I would just give it up because you're gonna have. I would think, even though it will be a small tournament, that you'll get an influx of Power Stone 2. I would think.
I mean, it'll be out before then.
And you're gonna have people finally getting to play it, and I think they're gonna be like, "Wait a minute, what is this? What is this?"
Now, I will say this. Props to them for kind of anticipating that, because they're keeping everything up and available even during finals day. So hypothetically, there might be people in the, that's not in the arena, that's in the actual floor still playing their side games during the Street Fighter final. You know what I mean? So that's kind of cool. I won't be one of those people. I'm trying to get to the arena, but that's cool. That's cool. They thought about that. That's cool. They thought about. Josh, you got to come to Vegas, man. When are you coming to Vegas, man? What are you doing?
What am I doing? I don't know. If my wife has to I gotta have money. I gotta have money to go.
Listen, man. The not even just for the tournament, right? Like you don't have to enter. Fine.
I know. I wouldn't do. I'd be like, I just watch everything. I would probably. I would just watch everything, walk around, watch.
You got to get to the classic suite though, like the museum and stuff like that. Whole lot of just like cool history there. Like there is a every year they do this thing where they have the World Warrior and they have like somebody showing a tutorial on how to do the handcuff glitch. Like they'll show like all these people like this is how you do it. These are the conditions. This is how you do it. He does it every year. I don't know his name. He does it every year. There's the Q&A with Daigo Umehara that he does all the time, damn near every year. That's always fucking interesting. He all like just not even beyond fighting games. I love Daigo because even beyond fighting games, he gives you game about life, game about like how to just get better at things. Because that's the, if y'all don't know, that's the Michael Jordan of fighting games, man. Like, in my opinion, like Daigo is the greatest, and just in everything that he's done, his skill, all that stuff, he's the great. Like I think Tokido is the LeBron James of fighting games because he's so well versed and well rounded and things like that. But in terms of just like the height of skill, like as good as you could possibly be at something, if Daigo wanted to be, he could be the best in any. He just got kids and stuff now, but just when you listen to him talk just about his approach to not only just fighting games but just everything, I always learn something. He talks to everyone for the longest. He does giveaways. He does the whole can you beat him at whatever? Like he'll let random people challenge him at Guilty Gear, shit like that. It's always
Why would
cool.
you do
It's
that?
always an event.
Why would you?
Because you know what's funny? Everybody knows him for Street Fighter 2. Yeah, he's probably the GOAT in Street Fighter 2, but he's actually the GOAT at Guilty Gear X. And he'll always go, all right, who's next? And then every year it's, he's still just as sharp. That's right. Always cool. Max's panel is always cool. He does a panel most of the time. I wish I could have went last year because I would have loved to watch that final with him.
I mean, a lot of people were. Cool. I mean, a lot of people. That's how people watched the final, was because they couldn't get in, so they were watching. Did you know that?
Yeah. I saw a little bit of his stream.
Yeah.
He had
so
people pulling chairs from other setups.
Yeah, people, and he was like, because they couldn't get in, so he was like, okay. So
it's funny. I knew that was gonna come back to bite them though, because the year before they did the same thing. The thing was though, it wasn't as many people. So I was like, I don't know, because what they did the year before, if you go in there, you know what I mean, there's no wristbands, none of that stuff. So it's first come, first serve. It worked out because there wasn't as many people. But last year, there was like almost double the people in Street Fighter than it was the year before. And I knew that was going to come back to bite. When I saw many people in Street Fighter last year, I was like, I don't know. They're going to change the tickets back. Because they did it from like my first year going all the way until like 2017. And then they switched to like that whole format where, there's no wristbands now. You just go into the arena. And then right when they did that, I was like, this thing's getting bigger though. I don't know. I don't even know why they did it. I don't know. And last year, apparently, it was a shit show. So many people were mad, man. It was funny because one of our buddies was out there and he couldn't make it back in. So he was like recording people like mad and stuff like in line. And he was like, this is all of us talking to the security guard, trying to get back in. And like people were sneaking in and stuff. It was bad. And then what makes it so weird is that if you saw the actual arena at the end, the seats weren't full. It was full, but it was like there were empty seats all over. Why didn't they just let people in? Kind of weird. Hopefully, I won't have to worry about that though. Because I'll let you know, badge pickup will set the tone for the entire weekend.
That's what you said.
If it's organized, we're good to go. If it's not, might be in trouble. Because I think 2016 was like the first like big like holy shit. Because that was the first year Street Fighter 5 was at Evo, and like there were so many more people, and yeah, it was nuts. I think it was the first year they used the arena, the big arena. I believe. Was that 2015? No, it was 2016. Yeah, it was because the first year was Street Fighter 5. The first year for that. That's when they used it. That was the year they were on ESPN. Yeah, it was the same year. So I can't wait, Josh. If you can't tell, I cannot wait. Cannot wait. You need to come though. You need to come.
We'll see. Even
if you enter nothing.
I know. It's if Vegas wasn't crazy expensive like it is now, if it was like it was 5 years ago, I could probably make it. Because you could fly out there for nothing, and now it's like, oh no, we don't do that anymore.
Yeah, I'm still making payments on my room. So
I'm like, what? I'm like, what happened to people coming out and you wanting them to just gamble? so everything was cheap.
You know what else is funny? So apparently, my guy Mello, shout out now, I keep bringing him up, but he is like the heart and soul of the South Carolina fighting game scene. And him and a bunch of dudes from Myrtle Beach, they're all like driving out there, which is insane.
God damn, what is that?
Why are you doing that? Why are you?
How many hours is that?
A lot, Josh. A lot. It's going to be a few days, man. But they're all.
I was going to say that sounds like
driving out there. Apparently, they're picking guys up across along the way too. He's talking about like chipping in for like a bus and stuff. I was like, bro, I'm good, man. I'm just gonna take my Delta $600 ticket and just fly out there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Not doing that. But yeah, I'm done. That's all I got. I ain't got nothing else.
I'm gonna see how far. I'm gonna see how far this is because
he's going from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, to Las Vegas.
Holy crap!
Well, first, like hold on.
34 hours.
Add 3 hours to that. Well, about 2.5 because he's going from Columbia to Myrtle Beach, then to Vegas. Crazy.
Fuck that.
Crazy. That. Insane. I appreciate it because it's cool. It's cool because it will make sure that like most of us get out there. Because every year there's like last year that I didn't go and a lot of other people didn't. There's like a large contingent of like all of us that play together that don't get to make it out there. But he's doing that to make sure that as many of us as possible can make it out there, which is cool. I mean, none of us are going to win anything. The person with the best chance to do anything is him. Like he has a real chance to make some noise in Tekken, right? Like it's Tekken guy. But the rest of us, like we're gonna lose quick. Maybe win a little bit of money in some money matches. You know what I mean? But he's also trying to set up a
Markeem, money matches don't happen anymore.
They do happen. I don't know who told you that. Where'd you get that from?
I'm lying.
No, it's funny because he's trying to set up the Carolinas versus what's called the Southwest, New Mexico, and all those dudes is going to be out there. I definitely into that, man. Like y'all want something, we're gonna lose. We're gonna lose bad, but I definitely 100%. Like you want to put me in and play some KOF, I'll do it. Let's do it. But that's all I got. I'm out.
Okay, I think we're done.
Somebody asked about it. Somebody asked about real quick about Superman. Of course, we're looking forward to it. I mean,
we'll see.
I know what else to say.
I'll know tomorrow. We'll have the real trailer tomorrow.
Yeah, that is right. The Ironheart trailer comes out tomorrow too. Isn't that interesting? Why did they do that, Josh?
I don't know. Why is WWE putting on Saturday Night's Main Event and maybe the women's pay-per-view the same weekend as All In? I don't know.
You know what though? You know what's funny about Ironheart? I wish that this was coming out next year, because if it came out next year, right, I think people would be more on board with the idea of new characters because they fucked up for so long. People are just like, I don't want this girl. I don't care.
Maybe we'll see. We'll see. I think she's one that people won't complain about as much.
I don't know, Josh. People being really weird about about her in general. And you know whose fault it is though? It's Brian Michael Bendis' fault. Because when she first debuted, she was the most unlikable character.
But
in the
how
world.
Much of that is that people are complaining because of that character and not the movie character? Because the movie character isn't that. She's likable.
True. I don't know. We'll see.
We'll
see. I hope it's good, though. I hope it's good because I need it to be good. Because I want my niece to see someone like her. You know what I mean? Who's a nerd, who's a little awkward, who's socially doesn't know how to deal with people, things like that. Because that's her. You know what I mean? On screen, it'd be cool. Because she's not a stereotype. That's the thing. She's not a stereotype. Because as much as I love Shuri's a stereotype.
Oh,
stereotype.
100%.
What they call her, a Mary Sue?
She's not even a Mary Sue. She's like she's like almost a throwback to like black exploitation movies from the
Absolutely.
70s. That
Absolutely.
she's that type of,
I love her, but she's a stereotype. Riri's not though. So
okay.
That's it. Yeah.
That's it. We're out. We talked about so much more stuff than what? And Dark Arc. What?
Hold on, what's happening?
Dark Arc.
They announced that? Did they announce that?
No, they wouldn't be good Dark Arc.
Hey, brother, don't play with me like that. Don't do that. Oh, you're saying, are they going to do that?
I don't know. Maybe. I would doubt it because that's you got to go into the whole that's a hard character to do because people are going to want to like what? And then you got to go in the background, and the background's all weird depending on which one you're going to use.
Oh, you know which one they'll use though. They'll use the modern one. They won't use.
But the modern one sucks.
I know, you know that. But
I like the we're the Green Lanterns that aren't really Green Lanterns. I like that.
They're not doing that, Josh. You know they're not doing that.
But that was better.
You're right.
Better.
You're right.
That was better. I understand they already have the Novas, but that was better.
They're not doing that. The Novas are. Well, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that later. But they're fucking lame. We'll talk about that later.
Anyways, all right, we're out. Thank you guys. We appreciate it.